The phone vibrated once, then again. Then it wouldn't stop. I was still at the table when the laughter peaked, silverware clinking, wine breathing, the practiced cruelty of people who mistake noise for power. My wife's sister leaned back in her chair, chin lifted, smile sharpened to a blade. "Penthouse views change a man," she said. "You wouldn't know." Her husband squeezed her knee. "Ownership, by implication." My wife didn't look at me. She never did when silence was safer. My phone lit the table. "If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes." My daughter-in-law shouted through a voice note, loud enough for everyone to hear. The table laughed harder. Hierarchies love an audience. I typed one word: enjoy. I slid the phone face down. The laughter thinned. I felt the old calm descend, the kind that arrives only when the decision has already been made. Under the table, my thumb hovered over a photo album I'd curated for years. Not for this moment. For the moment after. I looked at the man across from me, the one with the penthouse. He met my eyes and looked away. Renters always do when the walls start talking. Humiliation isn't loud. It's quiet. It's the way my wife folded her napkin and refolded it, as if tidiness could erase the past. It's the way her sister cataloged my failures aloud, turning my restraint into proof of smallness. What they didn't know was that the insult had landed on a fault line already cracked. Months earlier, I'd found the email. An invoice. Recurring. The sender's name was a shell company I recognized because I'd created it. The address, my address. The amount, exactly what the penthouse earned me every month. I remembered my wife's late nights then. The way she defended her sister's husband with a heat she never spared for me. I remembered the way the laughter in this family always pointed away from their secrets. Betrayal doesn't announce itself. It rehearses. It tests the room. It waits for you to blink. I didn't. I watched. At dinner, the sister's smile widened. "Some of us build," she said. "Some of us just exist." I felt the truth press against my ribs. Not just about the penthouse, about the arrangement. About the nights my wife spent helping her sister. About the way money had learned to speak for them. I lifted my glass. My wife flinched. She knew that look. The one I wore when I stopped believing in mercy. I investigated quietly because noise contaminates evidence. Phone records. Shared calendars. A weekend-marked spa that synced with client visit on his. Security logs from a building I owned under a name no one at this table knew. My name had learned to disappear. I never confronted. I smiled. I paid the bill. I let them underestimate me because arrogance is the most reliable accomplice. At night, my wife slept on the edge of the bed, her phone face down. I listened to the way lies breathed short, anxious inhales. I traced the outline of a marriage that had become a performance. Applause on cue. Exit through the service door. The sister called me once late. Her voice softened. She asked for advice. I gave it. I told her that renting was sensible. That liquidity mattered. That ownership was a story people told themselves when they needed to feel tall. She laughed. Relief tastes sweet when you think you're safe. I collected screenshots. I printed contracts. I framed them not as weapons, but as mirrors. The most devastating truths simply reflect. At dinner, the tension ripened. My daughter-in-law's message echoed in my head. Wash the dishes. I thought of hands that had washed money for years. Of women who had learned that men like me confuse silence with weakness. They were wrong. I stood. The room leaned in. I should apologize, I said softly, for the misunderstanding. The sister's smile returned, triumphant. My wife's hand tightened around her glass. I tapped my phone. The first image bloomed on the screen, snow light on glass, the Swiss villa rising clean and white, private lake like a held breath. Another image. Another. Interiors. Deeds. Dates. 71 calls came in while the photos scrolled. 71 times someone tried to interrupt gravity. I turned the phone so the table could see the contract, the header, the address, their penthouse. Rent's due on the 1st, I said. It's been late before. Silence isn't empty. It's heavy. It presses on lungs. Her husband's face collapsed inward. My wife didn't move. The sister's smile fell away as if it had been peeled. You, she started. I know, I said. About the weekends. About the transfers. About the stories. I set the phone down. The evidence didn't need to shout. Power doesn't raise its voice. It lowers the temperature. I won't be joining Thanksgiving, I continued. The dishes can wait. My wife finally looked at me. There was something like grief in her eyes. Or maybe that was calculation failing. Her sister reached for me. I stepped back. I renewed the lease, I said to her husband. Short term. Market rates. He nodded. Renters understand terms when they change. The sister cried then. Loud. Ugly. She accused me of cruelty, of planning this, of betrayal. I let the word hang. It belongs to those who use it. I walked out without haste. The door closed behind me with the sound of a final clause being enforced. Outside, the air was clean. I breathed it in like a new language. 71 missed calls. I deleted them without listening. The past doesn't deserve a voice note. I drove home to rooms that knew my name. I poured a drink and didn't toast anyone. Vindication isn't celebration. It's alignment. In the quiet, I thought of the table, of laughter starving for oxygen, of a marriage that had mistaken my patience for blindness. I turned off the lights. Some people confuse ownership with worth. I learned long ago to own the moment instead.